In this video, we will be discussing about a book written by Louis Hay, and the name of this book is You Can Heal Your Life. And this book is really fascinating, and it is more of a psychological read. It actually clears many of the self-doubts that one is vulnerable to, and the combination of self-hate and self-love in a person, and what should be more dominant and what should be more submissive, and we will let's talk about it. So life is very simple. Whatever we think and whatever we implement is what we get back, whether it is in the form of our actions or our thinking or our words. Whatever it is, um, whatever we do is what we are going to face later on. And whatever we are doing, the universe, what we are surrounded by, actually supports us in everything we do, which means that however we perceive our surroundings to be, we are going to get the same vibes back as well. And the universe never judges, rather, it just gives us whatever we think, and whatever we think about ourselves for the surroundings, we get it back through the reactions. So, starting off, we will jump on to the main plot, that is, what is actually self hate? Self hate is a self perception that we induce in ourselves, rather from the childhood or maybe in the adulthood. And self hate is basically not something that we are born with, it is something that is induced in us when we are growing, or when we are just a little kid, when we don't have a sense about anything that is going around us, and we are just told or probably mocked about everything we do. And due to all these reasons, our self confidence is shattered, plus our capability that we are capable of, we never tend to support ourselves with anything we do. Such type of self hate is a, we can say, this is a kind of illness that we possess, as self hate actually leads to self harm, and self harm in a sense that we don't think ourselves to be capable to do anything. We talk ill about ourselves, we think ill about ourselves, and once a person is not sincere with themselves, no one can ever do anything about it, because our therapy starts within us. Our therapy is right in our brains, and that is the brain itself. Whatever we are going to think about ourselves is going to be reflected through our actions. Our body is a picture which is depicted uh, by our minds, and whatever we think is basically, our bodies are the image of what we think. So usually all the self-hate that we are consumed with is induced by adults, and since our childhood we are told that we are not capable of doing a specific thing, or maybe due to our body shapes we are mocked, or due to some other disabilities, maybe something like due to our studies or anything, in comparison with others we are mocked, and such mocking leads to shatterness of self-confidence. And despite having to think about it, we just jump onto conclusions that we actually cannot do such things. We should actually rather think that the people who are telling us that we are unable to do anything, those people have actually gone through all this themselves as well. because no person can actually tell anybody else that they're not capable unless they actually go through everything on their own. We can take an example. If there is a kid, and kids are very innocent, they don't know about the realities of life. We just lock them in a room and start mocking about how they look like and how they're what they're not capable of and whatsoever. That kid will actually start tear up start tearing up, and he will lose his confidence over the time. And when he grows up, all his confidence will be shattered just because that one time that someone mocked him and screamed at him just because of something he wasn't capable of. He lost his confidence into everything that he could actually do. Now, if we had taken the same kid into the room and told him that he is lovable and he is loving, then the same kid would have a higher confidence level than the kid who was mocked, and that kid will start loving himself. As the writer has told us, that many of her clients uh, come to her and tell her that they hate themselves and they talk ill about themselves. And when writer tells them the specific exercise, that is to hold a hand mirror and look at yourself and talk good about yourself, like you love yourself and everything, those people rather cannot do such type of things because they are consumed with all the self-hate since their childhoods. And we cannot blame, if we start blaming our adults or our parents for that, this is of no use, because whatever has happened. We cannot change whatever we have gone through. Rather, we can just forgive and clear all the past. We can start clearing up our mind about whatever happened, and all the negative thoughts can be eliminated, and possess our minds with all the positive thoughts about ourselves and our surroundings. Or rather, we can have a dialogue with all the adults, or we can just think of them, whatever they said, whatever they talked about, talk, talk, talk to us about. If that was negative, they must have gone through the same thing in their childhood as well. So this exercise begins within your mind. If you see, if you actually are consummated with such thoughts, you should start. We can take an example. While clearing a room, if you are supposed to clear our house, we we don't know where to start from. We actually start from the mess that bothers us a lot, and we start clearing that mess first. Similarly, goes with our mind. Whatever the thoughts are messing up in our minds or whatsoever it is, we start clearing up from that point. And over, we go on and start to clear our minds. And this exercise is going to last forever. This actually needs some decision making, and it requires to be consistent to it. And if we're not consistent, so we obviously won't be able to achieve this. This exercise will require a will to change, and obviously in human nature, once a person wills to do anything, he can achieve everything that he wills to. And if we implement same thing in our lives, we obviously can make something better out of it and achieve and create a better person out of ourselves. And at least if we think that we are better this way, we can at least start from a lower point and actually help all the people around us who are going through something, going through such kind of things about self-hate. We can change their perceptions and change their self-perceptions in a positive way, and they might start thinking about themselves in a positive way. Change begins within our minds.